Excel TV. Touch your sabla.
Thank you for keeping it volume up. My name is Simio Sebukulu once again, and you are watching XL TV. We're still discussing the plight of children. Oba jebaita embeera ey'abaana naddala mu kiseera kineno ekya COVID-19. Abaana baffe bakyali ku muggalo kankiteeke bwe ntyo, abasinga bakyali waka tebasoma, babatuuliridde abazadde abamu nammwe oba olyawo mukyali ku muggalo, emirimu gyammwe teginaba kubanga giddamu, ate nga tumanye ekikwata ku muzadde kikwata butereevu ne ku baana. Omugenyi wange nkyali ne Damon Wamara. Damon Wamara yakulira ekitongole ki Uganda Child Rights NGO Network, ekitaba ebitongole byonna mu ggwanga ebikola ku nsonga z'abaana. Bano nno bakola omulimu gw'amaanyi nnyo nnyini ddala.
Tugezako.
Amazing. So Damon, now whenever we're seeing so many organizations cropping up, CBOs coming on board, NGOs coming on board, and whoever graduates and thinks of starting up an NGO, the first category that crosses their mind are children. Is it helping? How many are they, and how many are those that are registered with you?
First of all, let me just say that one of the key reasons why you have people set up organizations, two reasons. One, women and children are regarded as the most vulnerable group of people. I don't know why men were not vulnerable, but I think we are vulnerable, but not as vulnerable as the women and children.
Or our counterparts.
And children. So definitely people, some are moved by emotions, others are moved by a calling. They feel called to serve children. And various reasons. And for me, the situation with ending violence against children, according to a violence against children survey that was done in 2017 by AfriChild and Ministry of Gender with support from AfriChild, it found that there are more, that the number of children who are being violated are just on the increase, and in the different sectors, physical. The worst being sexual violence, which affected the girls the most. Then you have physical violence, which affected the boys the most. Then you have emotional, which affected both boys and girls. Then you have also those are the main categories that were presented. And you definitely see that the bigger population, and you know what that survey said? That survey in 2017 said that children are more violated at home than at school. And then lockdown happens, and then we see the manifestation
Absolutely.
of that survey, that actually children were more violated.
That points to the fact that their close relatives or parents are the violators themselves.
The close relatives, the person, actually the survey said that the majority of the children are affected by the ones they know. Their rights are violated by the persons they know close to them. It's not a stranger who violates their rights. Now, when it comes to people setting up organizations, for me, if it is not in the same area, if you know, there is also the bit where you have 1,000 NGOs in Kampala. But if it is in the different areas, meeting the different needs of that community, I think the CBOs are a great opportunity for the children to thrive and families to become stronger and better. When it comes to graduating and going into that, I cannot personally come up and criticize them, neither can I give them a pat on the back. But I can only say that there is a need out there. It just, they're trying to respond to a need that is out there. As Uganda Child Rights NGO Network, we have close to 150 organizations, CBOs. 150 CBOs, national organizations and international organizations that are members of our of our network. And all of these are service providers. They're the ones who meet the children at the grassroots levels, and then they provide us with data information for us to do the advocacy that we carry out as the network on their behalf.
Absolutely. Let's go a little bit of legal. Now, the Employment Act of 2006 stipulates in Section 3 that a child under the age of 14 years shall not be employed in any business, undertaking, or workplace except for light work carried out under the supervision of an adult. Now, we are seeing children on the streets of Kampala hawking masks. We are equally seeing children going to mines in villages to do work. I mean, what's this?
I think, first of all, these are outcomes of the COVID situation that we have, where families are starving. And then remember, right from the beginning, even in our cultural situations, even in the remember ATS, African Traditional Society, children were seen as a form of bringing in income or bringing food into. The more children you have, the more garden you can dig, the more food can be harvested. You understand?
And probably the more social security.
The more social security, but also the girls are good, dowry, the more children. Well. So they are seen right from the ATS as a form of a source of income, stabilizing the home. Even when you look at the people in the West, whether it is the West, whether it is the North, cattle keeping is done by children, all those things. So the more children you have, the more value in terms of bringing an income.
Hasn't
the
our
same
mind
situation
transformed?
The same situation applies. It's just now manifesting itself in a different way.
21st century.
Yes, it is now not manifesting itself through the cattle keeping in the urban areas. It is now manifesting itself through the selling, because remember, the other side, it would be barter trade that would work. But now there's no barter trade. It is cash. So you get the goods, you sell them, looking at a vulnerable child, you give the child, and then you're able to do that. That is for the issue of the children who are working on the streets. And this poses it poses a risk for children. Children are really, really at risk, because who protects the child on the streets? The cars are going vo 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 vo. As soon as the green light comes, and a person have been there where you're sure that the light is about to turn orange, you just want to go very fast so that it doesn't catch you.
Exactly.
And the child is crossing the street. Now, who is at wrong? Is it the driver? Is it the child? Or is it the parent? The environment that the child is in is not safe.
Look at that picture.
The environment the child is in is not safe. Now, some children, before the lockdown, some children like the one we are seeing on the screen, were being brought to Kampala to hawk eggs, to sell eggs. Do you know how much a person makes from eggs? How much is it? Let's do quick calculations. No, I'll not, because somebody may get the idea and go into that business.
I guess.
But if you calculate how much they earn from the tray, it is good money. It is even more than the salary you earn here.
Are you serious?
Yes. And so people take advantage of that. They're able to use the children. And the worst bit is that at that point, a child is at risk of being kidnapped. A child is at risk of being sacrificed. Hence why we were behind the pushing of the human sacrifice bill. Then when it comes to the law that you have read, I've not yet talked about those in the mining. But when it comes to the law that you've read, as child rights actors, it's another place of us contesting it. Because a child is supposed to be below 18. Now the law is saying that a child, no child shall work no child shall work unless they are below 14 years old. Then 14 to 18, they're still 14 to 17, they're still children. What happens to them? And that is the age. If you look at the dropouts, if you look at the school dropouts, that's the largest number of children who drop out of school. And it's because at that point they say, now you go and work. But the work that should be between 14 to 17 is the acceptable work. Work that does not deprive them of going to school. But people ignore that. The private sector ignores that. They employ them because they are cheap labor. If you go right now to the rice farms, if you go to the sugarcane plantations, you're going to find that age group in those sugarcane plantations. and they're being exploited at that point. Now again, the current situation is not very ideal for us to we can fight it, but it's just that the current situation where they are not able to, the quickest way they can earn money for survival is what they're looking at. The danger is what we were talking about earlier on. When schools are open, they will not want to go back. So how do we balance that?
I mean, they've tested money. Right?
Yes, and money is sweet. You know it. Money is sweet.
Absolutely.
It is sweet. It gets you way more than sitting in class being bored by what is that man's name? Napoleon Bonaparte.
Of history 3 and probably Hitler. Now, Damon, I am tempted to ask you about 3rd of May 2021 and 4th of May 2021. Now, these are days in which we got Parliament passing the Sexual Offences Bill and then the Prevention and Provision of Human Sacrifice Bill, respectively.
Yes.
What are your expectations?
For the Human Sacrifice Bill, we're excited. We're excited that it got passed. You remember what happened in was it the end of last year or the beginning of this year, where a person went to the Parliament with the head of a child?
Yeah, as a gift to the Speaker, then Speaker of Parliament, Rebecca Kadaga.
Do you know, just after that case, the number of stories and engagements I was having with people who had beheaded their children, people who had buried their children alive as a form of sacrifice? All this exposure of violating children, stopping their life before they can have a full life. We were glad that that Human Sacrifice Bill came through. The Sexual Offences Bill is equally needed, but I think, and this may come to bite me, I think we need to put the balance where we understand that we should not over-feminize it and make sure that it is a balanced bill that is protecting children. For me, I'm looking at the protection of children and also the justice for children. And our problem in Uganda has never been the laws. We need to remember that. Our problem has never been the laws. The laws are good, and we are glad these laws are there. The problem has never been the laws. And we're grateful, by the way, to the president because he ascended to the Human Sacrifice Bill. So right now, the Human Sacrifice Bill is in action.
Yep.
It's a bill now. But we need to, how do we move from the laws to the action? The action where communities understand. I like the bill because the bill says that if you, Simeon, you know that I'm going to sacrifice a child, and you keep quiet, you will also be held accountable. Because you're now party to the crime. You understand? So you cannot claim and say, manage money nae or money into nedda. Singo chimanyi
nti oli agenda kusaddaako omwana gwe n'osirika
nawe bakusiba. You can also get the life sentence that is in that bill. The bill is also very clear that if you sacrifice a child, Simeon, you're going to jail for the rest of your life.
I mean, I could also tell you that the Bible that some of us believe in equally says si saabo bokka ababikola wabula n'ababayambako. It's not to only those that do, but even those that aid them.
Yep. You have to have justice.
Damon,
but then now that is a good law. Now the action is how we arrest, how the community engages, because the reason why that part was put there was so that the responsibility is taken away just from the government. Even you neighbor, you need to know what happened to the child. Ingo mwana osimulaba nnaku zino abadde ki nataliyo chichi omwana aliwa.
Taking responsibility too.
If you hear the child telling you daddy joy aleseko ku mwana nesitegede mwana wavudde, and then you say nawulidde naye ebyo tebinkwatako.
Kasita babo bali mu nju. I get you. Damon, our time is fast spent. However, I can't let you go without asking you about the programs of Uganda Child Rights NGO Network. This is the point when you get to tell the country what you are pushing for in these times.
Well, our programs as Uganda Child Rights NGO Network is to bring together the child-focused organizations and build their capacity on the new trends in child protection. We also are into advocacy, collective advocacy, where we agree that we need to engage on 1, 2, 3 items, and we are able to speak out on those items. And so with the joint voices, we're able to bring out laws like amendments of laws like the Children's Act as amended in 2016, the Human Sacrifice Bill that has been passed. We are able to also point out on issues around the implementation of the Prevention of Trafficking in Persons Act. But currently we are running the Ending Violence Against Children project in the whole country, where we are advocating that we need to end all forms of violence against children and create a safe environment for our children to thrive in. We're also proud to be part of the team that established the child helpline, Sauti 116, until we finally handed it over, because for us our goal is not to run things but to lead the way and then hand over to government after we have helped set up the systems, hand over to government, and then now government is successfully running what we now know as Sauti 116. So if there are any violations of children, singatuulira intino mwana bamukubye oba mwana bamubye obachi, Sauti 116, it's a free toll call line where you can report all forms of child abuses, and then they have a police officer, there are social workers there, probation officers, and then there are also police officers who investigate the stories. And the good thing about this system is it is decentralized. It's also at district levels. So once it comes to the child helpline, it's then streamed down to the districts, and the districts follow up on the cases. And we are glad to have been a part of that, amongst many other things.
Singa owulira nti waliwo atulugunya omwana oba waliwo ekintu ekitagenda bulungi mu bulamu bw'omwana, naddala nga omulala yakireeta nga kigenda kukosa obulamu bw'omwana, genda ku ssimu yo regardless the network odairinge 116 oba emu mukaaga. Teweetaaga kugula airtime gw'okukuba essimu eyo kubanga yabwerere, ojja kuba otaasizza obulamu bw'omwana oyo.
There are also counselors there, so if parents feel that their children are not listening, they can also call that number, and then there will be a counselor on the other side who will be able to counsel the children and be able to give them guidance also on the other side. Then,
okay.
Yeah.
Mu biseera by'omuggalo kwate namba eyo emu mukaaga gikubeko, eriyo n'abantu abajja okuba nga babudaabuda omwana wo mu ngeri emu oba endala, osobole okuba nga tomenyeka weka oba tozitoye waweka nga omuzadde. Damon, I am afraid our time is fast spent. Let us know, what can the person out there do to contribute to the welfare of children that you are championing?
We are all caretakers of children.
Okay.
Even if you're not a father, even if you're not a mother, we are all caretakers of children. Let's look at our community. Let's protect our children. Let's ensure that once children let us know that they are not safe, we are able to report to the local council level, we're able to report to 116 Sauti, we're able to make the phone calls. And I want to thank the people out there. Kubanga wali abantu abadde bankubira simu ngabanga ntino wali akuteko ku mwana wange, wali akoze ki. Thank you for being good citizens, and we want more of that. We are the ones to protect our children. Let's not leave the work only to government. It's not only your police, not from community. Today, where it is a community that raises the child.
Amazing. Imagine having to have such a guest to talk to us at no cost. I mean, you certainly want to tune in so you get to listen to such speakers, to such people championing, so you get to know who is doing what for you to benefit. Now that is very, very important. Volume up on XL TV. You have to make a date with us. It just takes 1 hour from 9 to 10, Monday to Friday, and then you get yourself sensitized, you get yourself to learn about different things that are happening. Now guess what? Tomorrow I have yet another very, very mind-blowing guest, and I'm very excited about it. Dr. Hafswa Lukwata. Now, the lady that you are watching on the screen is the Commissioner Mental Health in the Ministry of Health, Republic of Uganda. She will be here to talk to us about mental health. So how do we keep our mental health in check so we do not get to stress about life? Omukyalo oyo gwe mulaba ku TV yamwe ajja kubeera wanene olunaku olw'enkya era ava mu kitongole ky'ebyobulamu ne mental health okubanga ayogera naffe ku nsonga za stress, anxiety, depression, tusobole okubanga tusigala tuli balamu bulungi nnyo. Olunaku lujja kuba lwankya ate nga munnange teweetaaga kusasula nsimbi okumuwuliriza. Kyeweetaaga kwe kutuwa obudde bwo tusobole okubanga tutambula ffenna obeeko choiga. Now this is volume up, and I must confess that these are sad times when I have to check out, unfortunately, and end a very, very amazing conversation and discussion that we are having. The last I checked, Mr. Damon Wamara works and lives in Uganda, and since he does that where we predominantly operate, I am very confident that he will not hide from our cameras the next time we want to check him out. My name has never changed. It is Simio Sebukulu. Keep it volume up until I catch you tomorrow for yet a very, very insightful conversation. This is XL TV. We will catch you tomorrow. Good morning.